Hi, everybody. How are you this evening? Welcome to Behind the Crime Door. For everyone who's here that's new, I'm Kristen. How is everybody doing? It's so good to have you all with me this evening. Hello, moderators. How are you all tonight? Good to see all of you here. Welcome to my members, and welcome to all of my subscribers. I am so happy to have you all. I hope you guys all had a good rest of your weekend and a good start to your week. I am feeling better. Thank you, everyone, for the kind emails and all of the things that you guys have been doing for me while I didn't feel well. I certainly appreciate each and every one of you. It's awful to be in pain, and when people reach out, it's just nice. Hey, Lynn, how are you? Hi, Insomniac to the Queen. Hey, Michelle. Hi, Rosewood and John. How are you? Hey, Rose Paradise. Hi, Anonymous. Hey, Jennifer. Good to have you here with me. Hi, Jess Pam. Hey, Salty Beach. Hey, Charles. Welcome. So tonight we're going to talk about, we're going to go back again to the beginning of the case, because that's what I've been really concentrating on for the last few weeks. So we're going to go back there again tonight, and we're going to talk about a few different topics from then. Hey, Judy Johnson, how are you? Hey, Stephanie Roberson. Hi, Mrs. Thang. Good to see you guys. Welcome to the doors. Hey, Maria. So good to have you here. Hey, Bridget. Hey, Woodland Star. So happy to have you. Hey, Tech Death. For everyone who is wanting to know about the music on my intro, Tech Death Hippie is the music. He is the music man. He is our shredder. He is amazing. Please make sure you check him out. He has a wonderful channel. He makes beautiful music. Oh, Mrs. Thang, it's terrible. You know, I can honestly say, knock on wood, today is my first nearly almost pain-free day. So I'm slowly recovering, and I'm just happy about that. So lots been going on in the Delphi world, it seems. We're going to talk about some of that. It looks like yesterday there was a helicopter that flew over the Wabash River in Peru, Indiana. They came from Indianapolis, and it actually flew to a field outside of the search area, and it landed about 3 miles south of the bridge at about 5:28 p.m. in the evening, and it left at 7:33 p.m. and headed back to Indiana. It looks like it was there for approximately 2 hours. Perhaps it was picking up evidence. We could only hope. Perhaps it was bringing someone important to the search area. So, and then they were flown back. Those are all possible things. Obviously, we don't know, but we do know that there was the flight, and that it did take place. Rose Paradise, thank you so much for your membership to my channel for 2 months. I really, really appreciate it. All of you that stuck with me and been a member, and I just can't say enough about how much I appreciate all of you. Hi, Allie. How are you, my dear? It is so good to see you. I'm sorry, Jennifer. What was when? There was a helicopter that flew to the it was yesterday. It happened yesterday. At 5:28 p.m. They flew and landed at that time 3 miles south of the bridge, and they stayed there until approximately 7:33 p.m. when they flew back to Indianapolis. So it was I think it's important. I think it's important that we note it as to what could be going on, but obviously something is happening that would have bothered them to ferry a helicopter up there. It makes me kind of weirded out. I wouldn't think it would be for evidence. Hey, Anonymous, thank you so much for your super chat. Thank you. Thank you. I'm so glad you're here, and thank you for your support. I think that it's more than likely that somebody was on that helicopter that came to the search area for some reason. So that's exactly what I think anyway. So yeah, I mean, you know, I got the message text to me yesterday about the helicopter, and I started thinking about it, and I was like, well, it looks like, from everything that we've been able to tell and that I've been able to figure out since yesterday, is that it actually flew to a site right next to the Indiana FBI field office, which is just south of the Indiana Metropolitan Airport. So that's where it flew back to. And I'm thinking that they probably picked up an FBI agent and took them up to Peru. And that's what I'm thinking. And so from what somebody posted on Reddit, they said that they flew south of the Indiana Metropolitan Airport, and they believe that they picked up the FBI agent, and they were on the ground for 2 hours in Peru, and then the helicopter flew to the IM airport and was on the ground for only 1 minute. And this person believes that the chain of events would point to something being found and was transferred to the airport for a flight to the FBI forensics lab in Quantico, Virginia. Don't know that that's fact. This is another person's opinion of what could have been happening. So we can only hope that that's what happened, but we don't know any of that to be fact. So, because we originally were told, I think on It's a Criming Shame, they said that it was a flyover, but it wasn't a flyover. They actually landed and was there for 2 hours. So yeah. So anyway, I just thought that we should talk about that and share it for those that did not know that happened yesterday. Well, John, why don't you just walk over there and ask them what they're doing? I would really like you to do that. I'm just teasing you. So there are a ton of markers in the river at this time, just so you guys know. And they are still out there. They're in the water and they're on land both. So there is a hold on one second, and I'm going to excuse me. Be right back, guys. Hold on. Okay, guys, I just posted a YouTube channel. You can go there and you can watch coverage from the search today. It's from Famously Unfamous's channel. They're the ones who actually came out yesterday about the actual helicopter flight. They're the one who broke it, as far as I know. So, but they have like about an hour, I think it's over an hour of video that you can watch where they just stood there on the footbridge, I think, and just filmed. So do check it out if you want to. But yeah, you can definitely see what's going on from there. So there was another Reddit post by Niche Tech Scholar, posted this in the Reddit sub of Libby and Abby today, and wanted to know the known facts is this. ISP helicopter left Greenwood Airport. Hold on a second. Let me share my screen. It'll make it easier. I don't know if you guys can see that or not, but that's as good as it's getting, I guess. Anyway, ISP helicopter left Greenwood Airport ISP hangar and landed in the vicinity of the Indianapolis FBI field office near Indianapolis Metropolitan Airport. The ISP helicopter departs the IMA FBI and lands in Peru, Indiana, 3 miles south of the Wabash River, in an open farm field, and they stay for 2 hours. ISP helicopter departs Peru and lands at the IMA for 1 minute. The questions: is it a reasonable hypothesis to believe that an important piece of evidence was found in Peru, Indiana, important enough to be transferred from an ISP evidence custodian directly to an FBI forensic technician for laboratory analysis by the best criminal investigative forensic laboratory in the world? Speculation: flying an FBI technician to obtain the evidence directly from ISP would result in less transfers between people and solidify a chain of custody for any piece of important evidence. I believe we can assume also that the evidence located is the type of evidence that would need the advanced analysis of the FBI lab in Quantico. Therefore, we have to conclude that whatever the Peru evidence is, it most likely is electronic. Certainly, Quantico would not be needed for a tire iron or a firearm. So that's another person's thoughts and hypothesis on why and what happened with that. So, hey, Fig, nice to see you, my dear. Thank you for being here. So, again, we have to look at everything. We have to ask these questions. We have to use critical thinking when we're looking at them. We have to try to take out biases and all bias when we're looking at what possibly could be going on here and what may or may not be happening. All I can say is there is a lot of movement. More movement in the last month than we have seen in 5.5 years. So I think, hey, Never Silent, how are you? Thank you for being here. So I have to say this. I do not believe that ISP would be spending thousands upon thousands upon thousands of dollars has been spent. Probably hundreds of thousands of dollars have been spent on this Wabash River escapade that they've been doing now for almost a month. And for just no reason. There's something going on. Most definitely. And something has led them there. Now, what is that? We don't know. But I definitely believe that they found information or they were given direct information that led them to this search. So anyway, with that being said, let's go back and talk about some of the things that I wanted to talk with you guys about. I was looking back the first month after Abby. Hey, SP74, welcome. How are you? Good to have you with us. The February 22nd press conference of 2017. This was 3 days before the warrant was served on the Klein's residence. But there was a lot going on at this time. They were also serving warrants at the Bicycle Bridge Road address, which was, I believe they were looking at the Maxwells, Logan Maxwell possibly, because of him texting with Libby. And they were probably at this point quickly putting together stuff on Ron Logan at that point in time as well. Because we do know, since the FBI affidavit for the search warrant was released, we know that they were basically. So when the assistant FBI special agent in charge, Greg Massa, spoke to us at that press conference, he talked about his conversations that he had with the behavioral analysis unit out of Quantico. So I'm not sure what, yeah, it was, the helicopter was ISP. Yeah, I know. It was ISP. I understand. So, yeah, it was just someone's theory or someone's, hypothesis of what may have happened. But yeah, I understand. So anyway, you know, Greg Massa talks to us about what the BAU instructed him or told him about this case, about this crime scene. So anyway, with that being said, he said that we should be looking for anyone who's changed their appearance, who may have changed the way they dress, drastically changed their appearance or their hair color, or if they shaved their hair off, grew facial hair, shaved facial hair. Did they change their pattern of behavior? Did they become more withdrawn? Did they become abusive of alcohol or drugs? Were they not where they were supposed to be? Did they cancel an appointment that they had made that day? Were they off work when they were supposedly supposed to be working? Did they have a story about where they might have been that day that later on you realized didn't really add up? And those are the things that Greg Massa from the FBI said that everyone should be looking for. And another thing that I gleaned from that press conference is, just so you guys know, they constantly say a word about their investigation, and it's not just one investigator. A lot of them use this word over and over again, and they talk about things that they're not going to release that are germane to their investigation. Hey, True Crime Web. Hey, Steve and Mrs. Steve, how are you? So good to have you with us. So just so everybody knows, germane means something that is relevant or appropriate. So it's basically cutting out things you don't need or things that don't matter. That's basically what it means, because they use it a lot. And a lot of different, I mean, we hear it from the FBI, we hear it from ISP, and we hear it from Carroll County. So I just thought that that was important to bring up, just in case people didn't know what they meant by that. There's a lot of speculation right now about whether or not the FBI is actually involved in this investigation anymore. I've heard a number of different things. I've heard people say they aren't. I've heard people say, of course they are. And I don't know that we really have any evidence of one way or another. I do think that early on in this investigation, and especially when they held this press conference and the FBI, Greg Massa, stood up there and said, you know, we're not going to leave any stone unturned. We're going to put billboards across the country. We are going to do everything in our power. And Doug Carter thanks the media, and really goes above and beyond, thanking the media at how well that they have done covering the case. All of that stuff that they did, and by making that go national the way in which they did, may not have been the best thing they could have done. And I think in a lot of ways, looking back on it, they may have shot themselves in the foot. And the reason that I say that is because it caused this case to go viral. This case went everywhere. It went international. It went everywhere. And everybody was sending in tips. I mean, they were getting upwards of anywhere from 14 to 30,000 tips within just a few short months. And 50,000 tips at one point, I think 6 months into the investigation. I don't know a law enforcement jurisdiction that could handle those kinds of tips. When you stop and think that every single tip has to be looked at, vetted, and decided on whether it's a good tip or not a good tip. And you have to have manpower to do that. You have to have the manpower that knows how to vet tips, how to look at them, and how to discern if it's something they should follow up on or something they shouldn't. And we know from being true crime enthusiasts that not every tip that's sent in is a good tip. We have people out there that are absolutely crazy that send in all kinds of stuff, and all of that slows law enforcement down. So it gives you a I don't know, like a rock. It puts like a rock in the middle of your investigation, because you want people to tip things in, and you don't want people to not talk. But on the other hand, you don't need all of these things coming at you so fast and furious that you don't have the time to get, to get to them. And I'm sorry, but I think there was a lot of things that went unseen. I think you have to really pay attention to that and take that with what it might mean. So, and Michelle's right. There's all kinds of wackos out there that want their 15 minutes of fame. And so they're going to say and do anything to get their name out there or to get focus on them. There's all sorts of people that do things like that. You wouldn't think around a double homicide of children that would go on. But all I have to say is look at the trolls that troll YouTube when we're live talking about 2 deceased children that were brutally murdered, and the trolls come in and try to disrupt the conversation. So yeah, there's just crazy whack job people out there that's what they get off on doing. And it was no different back then, I'm sure, for law enforcement. And I think it made a difference. And I think that they did have a ton of problems with so many what am I trying to say? So many tips coming in that they couldn't handle them all. The FBI, I mean, say what you will. We've had this conversation before. Everybody wants to throw the FBI under the bus and call them this horrific agency and, whatever, they're corrupt or whatever. And sure, you have corruption everywhere. Power corrupts people. But at the same time, it is the best investigatory body in the world. And that is a fact. Their technology, the things that they have developed, and the way that they go about investigating crimes, and the technology that they have discovered and improved upon over time in their labs is second to none. And so we have to trust in them. We have to trust what these people are telling us. And I for one, I'm here to tell you, if I had a loved one who was murdered, or if I had a loved one who was missing, I would want the FBI helping. The FBI are not going to lie about children's murders. I'm sorry. There's some things that I can see them doing, but I don't see that. Most of us as human beings are compassionate people. And when it comes to children, I mean, look at criminals, for God's sake, in jail. Even they have a code when it comes to children, right? But I just, I don't know. And that's just how I feel about them. And so when you go back to what the FBI was concentrating on and what we've been told now, what we've been told in the recent now or forever, whatever, is that sorry, I'm trying to bite my tongue right now, so just bear with me for a sec. I think it's easy to say right now that at least in the very beginning of this case, we had a problem with communication amongst the agencies that were working together. ISP, Carroll County, the FBI, they weren't all on the same page. There has been a lot of things that have been leaked. In my opinion, that is not necessarily a good thing. In fact, I think a lot of it has been highly damaging. You guys know my feeling on that. But what I will say is it seems like there's one particular agency that is trying to throw shade on another one. And I have to ask myself, why is that? And why would they be doing that now in an open investigation? And it's boggling my mind because it's been happening for a while. And I'm like, maybe it's because they don't want blamed for a case that may have been so screwed up that it's going to come out that it could have possibly been solved in the early days had they paid attention to one another and had they listened to one another. We don't know. I do know it's not uncommon after talking to law enforcement about when you get different jurisdictions trying to work together, you have all of these egos. You have all of these professionals, all of these people who you think would have the training to be able to work together, have a leader, and follow that. But you get these egos together and they don't always mesh. Anybody that's ever worked on a team of any kind in business, whether it be professional, school, whether you were on some sort of sports team, you all know that it's very important that you not have too many leaders. It's important that you have a lot of people who are willing to listen and follow what's being said. And Fig says it right, communication issues is the biggest problem in large organizations, especially cross-functional ones. And it's the truth. And and a lot of it is ego. People don't want to give up that power. They don't want to give up what they think they know is the way it should be done. And sadly, I think in the very beginning, we had a lot of this push, pull, and tug going on between law enforcement agencies. And they did ask for help from the FBI. And I think that they should have listened to them possibly more than maybe what they did. But it looks like they may have, because they concentrated so hard on Ron Logan. The more you think about that, you really too have to ask yourself, why? This is the best investigatory body in the world, and they thought Ron Logan was guilty. There's got to be reasons. There's got to be direct evidence. There's got to be something that's leading to this conclusion. And I'm a communicator. That's what I've always done my whole life. I is to communicate with people one way or the other. And public speaking is not new to me, but communication is extremely important in any type of situation, no matter what it is, whether it's your marriage, whether it's your personal relationships, your job, whatever it is, communication is key. And if we can't communicate with one another, we don't get a lot of things solved. So law enforcement is sitting here, and this is kind of what I imagine, is they're in this big conference room, and wherever it is their headquarters were at that moment, and the FBI is saying, it's him. This is him. This guy you've got here in this video is him. Hey, Double Rainbows, thank you so much for your membership. Oh, I so appreciate you. Thank you. And they're telling them why. They're telling them why. The guy faked an alibi. The guy wears the same clothes as the guy on the bridge. He's the same build as the guy on the bridge. He knows the bridge and the whole area like the back of his hand. He lives there. The girls were found on his property. There's just all of these things. And then we don't know about what was found at the crime scene that may have been even more of direct evidence that made them think of him. But for whatever reason, the FBI was sold on him. And I think they got a tug of war going on where people didn't think that that was necessarily true. And I think because they became so narrowly focused, a lot of things got missed. Things I think that went unchecked. I think that there were possibly witnesses that will possible witnesses that may have been talked to and thought were witnesses, and maybe they weren't witnesses. Maybe they were suspects. That's possible. We don't know. I will tell you that there was a ton of break-ins, never silent, going on in Carroll County. They were having a lot of break-ins at the time, around the time that the girls were murdered. So I just feel like there was a lot of things missed, in my opinion, because they were going back and forth with this tug of war. And for whatever reason, something stopped that in 2019. Hey, Daisy, thank you so much for your super chat. I so appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you. Fig has been asking, or has been offering his help for a long, long time. And I wish that Dave Vito would listen and take him up on it, because he would be a great asset for their team, in my opinion. But I'm sorry, the egos are too big here, and they don't want help. They don't want help. They keep refusing it. There has been other people who have offered to help. Other former law enforcement officials who are now retired, who dedicated their lives to cold cases. These people have offered to help. Paul Holes offered to help. Ken Maines offered to help. I mean, I'm sure that there's others. And it's just like, why? Why would they not entertain more help? But, I don't know. It's really crazy. And I think it's very apparent that the agencies just didn't agree in the beginning. Dave Burston was asked a question at this press conference by a reporter on whether or not he felt or they felt that the crime was random. And his answer was this random? It's possible, but I don't think it's likely. Bingo. That's the answer. Remember what law enforcement tells us. Remember what Perry Cop Facts has told us, what True Crime Web Steve has told us. When you look at cases, you have to go back to the very beginning and the rumors or what was said in the very beginning of a case, because a lot of times those rumors are fact, and those things that are being said, there's truth in them, and especially in the very beginning of a case. He didn't think it was likely that this was a random act. So they asked the next question after that question was, do you think that this is this person's first time killing? And he asked Greg Massa if he would address that question. And remember, Greg Massa is the FBI assistant agent in charge. And he says his answer was not tied at this time to any other known homicide. So at that time, they had no other known homicides that would fit with what they were looking at in this case. One of the things that has been so confusing, and this was in this press conference, we can break these press conferences down so well, and I know it's easy to do that, and hindsight's 2020, but they were saying a lot to us. And one of the things Dave Burston said is, we are not saying that the voice you hear is the same person as you see pictured here. This is all very fluid. Now, we know later on that Doug Carter comes out and says it's one and the same. But I don't believe it is, because when you stop and listen to what they're saying, they're telling you it isn't. And they're telling you that in the very beginning of this. He also tells you that when you're looking at a picture or a photograph, so he was talking about the video, because this is with the video of Bridge Guy, he's talking about the fact that you look at a picture, it's like your television, you only see this portion of it. You can't see what's on this side, on what's on this side or what's on this side. And he made a point of saying that. So was there something outside of the frame on that bridge that we couldn't see? Were there other people there? Was there another person there? It leaves you to wonder. I think at some point they actually learned somewhere that there is possibly more than one suspect, and even possibly more than two. And we just don't know, because they've never been quite clear to us at this point. I mean, they just contradict each other, and they go back and they backtrack on things that they've said. We need to always remember to set aside our biases. It's not easy to do, but for now, we need to set aside our bias. this is going to probably sound, I'll probably take a lot of heat for saying this, but I really feel like we need to at this point. There are still FBI agents talking about today, that Ron Logan is guilty. That's still out there. There are still FBI agents that are saying that he was the one. He was the one. They must have had a lot of evidence to implicate him, to make these seasoned investigators believe this. They did end up releasing him in 2019. They did. They released him early in 2019 before the April press conference. But that doesn't mean that he was 100% cleared, right? And I'm only saying that because law enforcement has never cleared anyone. They've said that they have covered them. And I really think that that's true, Fig. I think that there was a lot of things that they didn't know and they couldn't put together. And, without that video, stop and think about it. They wouldn't have any idea what happened to those girls in that woods, except the fact that they were murdered. If it hadn't been for the video and the audio. So yeah, Libby is a hero for what she was able to give to law enforcement. But yeah, law enforcement hasn't cleared anyone. They've covered them. They said they have covered some people. So we have to go with that. People around this case are starved for information. Just absolutely starved. It's crazy. We've all talked about it. The content creators, we get together, we talk about it. When we do a show that does not have anything to do with Delphi, how far it falls in our viewers, people, you can just see it. People want Delphi. They want Delphi. They're screaming Delphi. They want it. They want us to talk about it. They want to know more. People are starved for information on this case. And there are certain people out there that are covering this case that want clout. They want to be the ones. They want to be the ones that drop the information. They want to be the ones that leak it, or they want to be the ones known for leaking it, or whatever. The first ones who said it, or however. They've forged relationships with individuals that are close to this investigation, or they have claimed to forge relationships. And then they've obtained documents that were not in the public domain, you guys, and should never have been in the public domain, in my opinion. And not only did they obtain them, but they released them. And unfortunately, it has created a mess. It's created a mess and it's created a muck. Because, again, if Ron Logan is innocent and Ron Logan is no longer being looked at by the authorities after 2019, why release something that's talking about him being at the crime scene and his digital footprint and all of that? Hey, Anne, welcome, my dear. Thank you so much. So happy to have you as a member of the Doors. Why would you do that? And I asked that the very day that hit. I was so upset when that stuff came out. Yeah, it gave us information about the crime scene that we didn't have before. But it was just like, I just felt that there was an ulterior motive to that. And I still to this day believe that there was. So let's just say, follow me on this and don't get mad, okay? But let's say that Kagan is truly involved in this crime. Now, this podcast has leaked information and documents on Ron Logan, and now the jury pool is contaminated because they can't be objective anymore, since now they have an opinion one way or another. And people just don't see it that way. But that's where you have to drop the bias. And that's where you have to try to be objective and listen to everything. Even though we've all been following this for 6 years almost, we all have opinions. But if you're called tomorrow to sit on a jury for Delphi, you have to throw those opinions out the window. And you have to be able to look at just the evidence. Many mistakes have been made in this case. There's going to be many mistakes made in any case. These men and women are human beings. They make mistakes. Nobody is beyond making mistakes. It's so easy to be an armchair quarterback and to sit and look at the case, dissect it, and just start throwing these law enforcement individuals under the bus because they did this or they did this wrong. Why the hell didn't they do that? Whatever it is, we have to be more understanding in how hard their job is. Now, I get that if there are some blatant fumblings in this case, man, how sad. None of the agencies involved in this case want to be blamed for the reason the case will go unsolved. Trust me. Not the FBI, not the ISP, and definitely not Carroll County. And there is a very, very important election coming up in Carroll County. A very important election. They are going to be electing a new sheriff in town. If you guys don't think these cases become political, they do. It's sad, but it is truthful. To me, in my mind, it would be malpractice if law enforcement was not looking at the Ron Logan evidence. The GPS coordinates, the pings, the alibi, as well as Kagan speaking with Libby. We have to make sure they cover everyone and that they look at everyone and they make sure that everyone has been vetted as best as possible. There's a rumor that the fingerprint that they took from the crime scene has been lost by a Carroll County detective. Now, I don't know if that's true because it's a rumor. Same as there's a rumor that there was cleanser used at the crime scene by the perpetrator or perpetrators. I just don't know if that's true or not. But I can tell you if they did lose or smudge or destroy or whatever vital, direct evidence, it will be beyond sad. We do know that that scene of the crime was extremely disturbed. We had all kinds of footprints of searchers around there, around that area. There's rumors that there were technicians not following the grids the way they were supposed to as they were collecting evidence. And that created issues. But they had so many footprints, it was hard to discern what footprints may have been searchers and what footprints may not have been. So you can kind of see how all of that becomes a mess and just a nightmare for investigators. Hey, Frank Meister, thanks for joining. How are you? Whenever you have direct evidence that's compromised, it's a big deal. I think Steve would be one to speak to that. I mean, I'm sure he would say, no kidding, you darn right, if you mess up direct evidence, that can be a huge problem. So on one hand, you've got one side saying across the table, saying that it's Ron Logan is the guy, and the other side is saying that it's Anthony Schatz. And these are the two angles, I believe, that we have in this case. And suddenly, for whatever reason, in 2019, they decided that it wasn't Ron Logan anymore, or for whatever reason, they went back to the social media angle. Now, Becky has been interviewed and talked to a number of times about this. She was against the social media narrative until last year. She was still speaking out against it until last year. So I don't believe that law enforcement clued the families in on the fact that they were looking at this social media angle. I don't think they told them ever until last year when it came out. No, if Ron Logan is the killer, there will be no trial. Ron Logan is deceased. So hold on one second. I agree with you, Frank. Let's hope they're watching us. It appears to me at this point that the ISP is running this investigation. We don't see Carroll County down at the river, helping at the river search and of the Wabash. And I just really feel right now that ISP is basically taken over this investigation. I don't know if the FBI is still involved. I hope they are. I really hope and pray that they are. I do think it's very interesting that we have FBI agents going out on social media talking about how they still believe that it's Ron Logan. And these people are no longer obviously close to the investigation. They would never be doing that if they were. But I do think that it's interesting for sure. But a lot of them that did see the scene. A lot of them saw the crime scene. So that's one thing to remember. I'm going to take a really quick break, guys, because I need to go do one thing. So I'm going to put on some music, and I will be right back. Would you guys please talk among yourselves? And I will be right back. Just enjoy the music. Thanks, guys. Thank you so much. Okay, I'm back. I needed to get a drink. So, I think when you have someone leaking documents that are trying to sabotage the other side or the other agency or agencies by creating plausible defenses, showing the large disagreements between the agencies is problematic. I mean, let's be honest. You're in a heated conference room at work, and this meeting is going crazy. People are heated and people are in disagreement, and this is all being either videotaped or recorded or whatever, and it gets leaked out. That's not something that you would want to happen. It's not a good look for either side. We all know it happens. We all know that communication, that kind of communication happens. Those kinds of things go on all the time. Hey, Grismatically, how are you, my dear? So good to see you. Welcome, welcome. There's just things under normal circumstances that you wouldn't want out there in the public domain. And that's, to me, is one of them. You don't want to talk about the way they didn't kind of mesh or get together. Those are things to talk about maybe after the case is done and solved and it's been adjudicated. It's gone through the court system. Everything's done. And I'm talking about completely. That means appeals and all of that that's going to happen, because guaranteed when this case is solved, and I do believe it will be solved, there's going to be appeals when this case is done. And so this could go on for a very long time. Just because they arrest someone doesn't mean we're going to have swift justice, because it's obviously not been swift if it's been 6 years, but that we're looking at. But even after the arrest is made, it will not be swift, because there's going to be a lot of appeals. And one of the things that they have to be careful about when they're doing this and putting this case together is that's one of the things they want to be careful that they don't have things that can be turned over on appeal. So law enforcement has to be really, really on point with this, as well as the prosecutor who's prosecuting the case. I still say, and I'm going to still stick with my theory about Ron Logan. And again, this is my theory. This is not anything that you guys can run out and say, Kristen said this is fact. This is my theory. I believe that Ron Logan may very well have gone outside the night of the 13th when everyone was searching his property and all around. He saw all of the people. He saw all of the flashlights going on. And he went out there and he stumbled upon that crime scene. And when he stumbled upon that horrific crime scene, the man freaked out. Freaked out beyond freaked out. I don't think any of us can imagine what that would have looked like, or what that would have meant or been, and how that would have affected us. And so what does he do? He hurries back to his house and he's sitting there thinking, oh my gosh, I'm in trouble. I was driving today. I'm on probation. They're going to think I did this. They're going to throw away the key. They're going to think I did this. And he comes up with the plan of, I'll call my cousin in the morning. I'll get him to alibi for me as to where I was, and all of this. I mean, I just really believe that is what went down here. I think it's possible. Let's put it that way. I think it's Frank Meister just said it. Think about why this document that has been out there for a long time, The Ron Logan search warrant is not something that just they got their hands on. This has been floating around on social media for a while, but people hadn't put it out. The murder sheet's the one who dropped it, and you have to ask yourself why after he's gone, after he's long gone and been, he's died and he's been buried. And you obviously know that the cousin has spoken to law enforcement, because anybody that alibis somebody in a double murder, law enforcement's going to want to talk to them. So yeah, Michelle, I'm sure that they've had them in and had him interrogated. I'm sure for sure. But you do have to ask that. So there's tons of compelling evidence on the other side for Kagan. We have, he was the last person known to talk to Libby. He set a meeting with Libby. He did searches on the case. He searched on how long DNA stays on a body. His voice to some people sounds kind of close. He lied about Las Vegas. He lied about where he was that day. We've got the Country Club Road angle, because he lied and said he was at his grandparents on Paw Paw, and he wasn't. They have his phone checking into the Wi-Fi at Country Club Road, which we now know was a cousin's house. We've got the searches going on in the Wabash. We have the fact that he searched supposedly for a marathon station the day of the murders. So yeah, there's a lot of compelling circumstantial evidence that causes law enforcement to want to look at the Kleins. Do Ron Logan and the Kleins have a connection? No one knows. I don't know. I don't know how we would know that. But when you use Occam razor, they say, it's going to be one or the other, because it's usually this simple, right? We don't know what law enforcement has. We don't know what has compelled them since 2019 to do the things that they've done in this case. There's a rumor out there that Anderson's had CCTV footage on one of their grain silos, and that grain silo footage shows a younger individual getting into a car at the CPS building between 3:30 and 5 p.m. on the 13th. That is a rumor. Don't know if that's true, but it's out there. And I've said before, and I'm going to say it again, there is a lot of narrative being pushed on social media, in groups, in chats, in videos, in live streams, in Reddit subs, that are trying to keep the subject from the narrative that needs to be talked about. There's a lot of people trying to muddy this case for whatever their reason is. Maybe it's law enforcement. Maybe law enforcement is trying to keep it muddied so that we stay off of the real trail. It has been said for a long, long time that law enforcement said that no one on YouTube had the crime flow, the flow of the crime correctly. No one, including Gray Hughes. So, I mean, we don't know. I just think that we have to go back and really look at everything and all of the evidence. If they're heading to where they are now, and they're searching the Wabash River, just 2 miles from the Klein's home in Peru, Indiana. Something led them there. Was it Kagan? Maybe. Was it somebody else? Perhaps. It may not be Kagan that led them there. It's quite possible that somebody else has talked. I think whatever has happened has ultimately caused them to focus on the Kleins. And I think we have to, pay attention to that, obviously. But we truly haven't been given enough information to know one way or another. And that's why when people ask me, well, who's your POI? I don't have one. I can honestly tell you, I do not have one because I just don't have enough. I can see both sides, and I can see other people as additional individuals that could be associated with this crime. So there's just a lot. Like I said, there's so many layers to the case. So the other thing I want to remind everybody, when you're looking at all these photos and all of these so-called images out there about Delphi, whether it be stuff that's in the woods or in the water or whatever, pareidolia is a real thing. If you don't know what it is, please go research it. But we all see things differently, and we also see things we want to see. So it's just like, yeah, Frank Meister, I thought the same thing, because I was like, boy, wouldn't that be a way to wrap up the case in a nice tiny bow by saying, well, ladies and gentlemen, we do now know who it is, but he is no longer with us. Thank you, Fig, for saying it. People who keep pushing a POI make cases about them and their ego and not about the girls. Absolutely true. They don't know enough to know for sure anything. So it's just the truth. And I think that that's true too, Fig. When people are pushing a POI over and over, they're hitting that case so bad that it shuts down our conversations, and people start thinking that the case has been solved. Just like how many people thought that that Chadwell was it. Chadwell had to be it. I never said that, but boy, were there people that would fight you tooth and nail. How many people believe that now? I mean, it's so easy to get caught up in all this, but all it does is hurt the case. It truly hurts the case. Steve, you are so wonderful. I'm going to bow down and say that is Fig. Fig is much more intelligent than I am. But thank you. Mr. Logan, Ron Logan's lawyer, asked us not to jump to conclusions. And I think we need to listen to that. I really do. I think we need to listen to not jumping to conclusions. And I know a lot of us, like I said, have run down that path full bore. We are running and running towards the Kleins. We just absolutely are. And I think we need to be careful. There's not really enough video to discern anything about Bridge Guy, in my opinion. I think it's absolutely wonderful and heroic that Abby took it, or that Libby took it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to take away from what she did, because would I rather we have it than not? Yes. Do I think it's hurt the case by releasing it? In some ways, I do. I think it's hurt the case a lot. Just because of the fights and the arguments that have ensued over that video and what people see and don't see. Again, I'm going to just go back to my best friend's husband, who's a judge, and he said the worst evidence you can have in a trial is witness testimony, eyewitness testimony. He said, because it is so unreliable. Eyewitnesses are the most unreliable sources of evidence. I want to say this, and I just want to say this to everyone out there who does live in Carroll County. Please take the upcoming election seriously. Make sure that you're checking out who you're voting for in this election, because it's going to impact this case. I firmly believe that it's going to impact this case. Investigations in Carroll County tend to go nowhere, and they tend to we're just told it's under investigation. Don't worry about it. It's under investigation. Indiana is so tight-lipped about their investigation of cases that the public never knows where they stand in a case. And really, I feel like Carroll County doesn't have to answer to anyone. At this point is how I'm feeling. And I really don't think that that's right. I really think that there needs to be transparency, and there needs to be much more transparency in this case, and as well as Flora. As far as the voice and the evidence of the audio, I think that voice is distinctive in my mind. I can close my eyes and hear him because I have heard it so many times. I really feel, who's running unopposed? Polygraph. Who is running unopposed? The sheriff's race is not unopposed. I believe it's a smoker's voice. And to me, it's an older voice. I do not believe that that is a young person speaking. I would be very surprised if it was. I think the river search that's going on is also very important and key to what's happening in this case. And I also believe that it is very possible we have a sitting grand jury as well in this case. I believe that that is very possible as to why Kagan may have been taken out of jail. I definitely believe that it's still not unthinkable that a person responsible for this horrific crime is a person who might be in a position of power, or at least had some knowledge of the crime, or something to that effect. May not have actually committed it, but had knowledge of it, a person in power. And I hope that this all exposes this. I don't know if it's going to happen as quickly as we would like it to, but things are moving. And yeah, Polygraph, the sheriff is not running unopposed. I'm sure Pinker doesn't want to hear that, because Tony Liggett is not the only one running for sheriff in Carroll County. I know that there are people that want us to shy away from talking about certain things in this case. It angers me to no end. I don't understand it. I just don't. I just really don't. So I don't know. I just feel like there's a lot we don't know, but there is a lot happening, and we can't forget that. We need to pay attention. We need to keep talking about the case. We can't let the people who are trying to quiet us or silence us, whether it be trolls or whomever, we just can't let them do that to us. We have to stay diligent and firm, and continue to bring light and critical thinking to the case. I firmly believe what Perry said. The closer you get to the motive for the case, the motive for the murder, the closer you are in unmasking who that is. And I really think that that's important here. So that's how I feel. And, I just want people to know that my channel is fact-based, and I will tell you when it's my opinion, or when I'm talking about something that is not fact, that is rumor. I always will tell you that, because I believe it's extremely, extremely important that we stick to the facts in this case and try not to embellish too much. But I also believe that it's important that we do speculate to some degree and talk about things that we know now that we didn't know then. Doug Carter said it very well. There is evil in Carroll County. There is evil living among them. And until that person or persons are caught and put behind bars for these crimes, I don't think that anybody will ever feel completely safe in that area. I just think that it's, I hope we don't have to wait another 6 years. So, and anybody that wants to come on to my show and talk and have a voice in this case, all you have to do is email me. I'm more than willing to allow you to come and talk on this program, and have this platform where you can feel safe and talk about the issue that you need to talk about. I hate how people are trying to silence certain individuals out there, and about what they know or what they feel or what they're worried about. I think it's important that people know we shouldn't be trying to silence people here, especially now. But I also will say this: if you have information out there that could lead to a possible arrest of Bridge Guy or anybody associated with him, before you go to anyone on social media, please, please reach out to law enforcement and tip in what you know, whether it be to the FBI directly. If you don't feel comfortable with Carroll County, then do it to the FBI, but or the state police. But please, somebody needs to do that before they actually go on social media and start talking about what information they may or may not have. And that's the only thing I'm asking of them, because it's very, very important that stuff not first be heard here. It needs to be heard too through law enforcement. But that was all that I had for tonight. Sorry, guys. My mouse, I'm telling you what, it is so, this magic mouse from Apple is so, if I accidentally brush my finger on it sideways, it throws me right out of the stream. So I'm really sorry that that happens. But yeah, anyway. I was going to go back here and see a couple of these comments, if there were any comments real quick, just a second. Yes, he did say that, Maria. He did, but they've said so many different things. They, over time, they have said so many different things. It's hard to really understand and know what they mean. It just is. Yeah, it does, Rosewood. You are so right. I'm going to pull up my StreamYard giveaway, and I'm going to give away a Flora and Delphi bracelet, a wristband tonight. So I'm going to give away one of each. So give me a moment here to get it pulled up. If you want to join in my giveaway tonight, oops, that's not what I wanted. StreamYard giveaway tool. There we go. No. We're going to do hashtag Abby, because Abby gets talked about very little in this case, which bothers me a lot. And it's going to be hashtag Abby. So if you want to be in the drawing, hashtag Abby. And again, I'm going to be giving away a Flora 4 bracelet with the girls' names on it, wristband, and then the Delphi wristband for the Delphi girls. You're welcome, Salty Beach. Thank you. No, Anne, I'm giving them away. So you can, all you have to do is just enter the drawing, and you'll eventually get one, I'm sure. Most everybody's been winning, so it's not like, it won't be really hard. But yeah, I'm not selling them. And for all my moderators, I did send you your wristbands. For those of you that's not sent me your address, I need that, and then I can get those to you. So I think AJ, possibly, I know Grizz, there's a couple of you out there that still haven't. So if you want them, please send them to me, and I'll get those sent out to you. And let's see, what else was I going to say? Yeah, I thank you guys all for hanging in there tonight with me. Good. I thought it was a good conversation. I know a lot of stuff I said was controversial, and I expect that. But again, that's one of the things I love about you guys, is that we can have conversations and not always agree with one another, but we're respectful. And good night, Fig. Be safe, my dear. And it's, it's really, it's just really important that we remain respectful and that we continue to communicate. I really appreciate all of you. If you guys would please like and subscribe to my channel, that's the best way you can support me. The more likes I get, the better, the higher in the algorithm my live stream goes, so more people get to see it. And that always helps a YouTube creator. If you feel the need and want to help me out, you can always donate a chai tea for me. And I love tea, and it's really nice. You can just buy me a tea. You can also become a member of my channel. It's $1.99 a month to become a member and become part of the doors here at Behind the Crime Door, where I am going to be doing members only live streams and some other things as well. So there's different ways. Send it through email. And please send it through email. So that's what I wanted to let you guys know. And let's see here. Let's start collecting the entries. So here we go. That's really weird. That's the first time that happened, Pam. All of the rest of mine have gone for that postage. So that surprises me. No, your Flora bracelet is not in it. The Flora bracelet is coming separately. That's just really strange because none of my other ones came postage due. That's just crazy to me. Okay, so here comes the first drawing, guys. And again, this is for the Flora bracelet. My drawing is like, all right, come on. There we go. Okay. And the winner is Beverly Hynek. So if Beverly's still in here, please make sure you send me your email. Thanks, Sharon. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's crazy because I went to the post office and they told me that my one stamp was sufficient. So somebody's ripping somebody off is all I'm saying about that. So yeah, Beverly, just email me your address and I'll send you out your Flora bracelet. Congratulations. Now let's do, I'm going to draw again for the Flora or for the Delphi bracelet. I guess it's a wristband. It's not a bracelet. Awesome. Rosewood, you win, my dear. You email me and I'll send you out your Delphi bracelet. Okay. I'm so happy that you won. Rosewood is always here. She's always supportive of me. And I appreciate her very, very much. So, yeah, congratulations, you guys. Congratulations on being winners. I don't know, John, because when they waited, when I took them and asked them, I took what I had to the thing and I asked them what it would cost to mail this. and I put it in there. They weighed it and they said it can go by a letter. So I don't know. I don't know. But that's the first I've heard of it, and I apologize, you guys. So those of you that have won that are international, I was waiting on my international stamps to come. I didn't get any when I was at the post office, so I ordered some, and they are coming. So as soon as my international stamps get here, you that have won that are international will also be getting your wristbands. So have a great night, everyone. I so love spending time with you. You guys are wonderful. I hope the rest of you have a good Wednesday, and I'll see you guys all on Thursday night. Good night, everybody. Be safe out there.